So the next story is going to India. So I get to India. I get a small room. It's just got a bed in it. There's more cockroaches in there than people. And so I sleep on my bed, and I wanted it the authentic way. I truly asked for the authentic way, and I got it. And be careful what you ask for, right? That's the thing. Ah, yes, the temple. So I meet my guru. Well, I didn't know he was going to be my guru at this point, but I meet him. He's a man of very little words. He doesn't say too much. At times you're sitting with him and 10 minutes goes by and nothing is said. And I had to get used to that, because if you sit opposite your friend for a moment and nothing is said in 30 seconds, one of you will say something. I was sitting there and sitting there and sitting there, and I was like, he's not saying anything. I wonder if this is the way I'm going to be learning. And what am I going to be learning if he doesn't say anything? So then he would say something. And it wasn't about the quantity of things that he said. It was much more about the quality of things he said. He would say something to see what you did with it, rather than give you so much and you collected it. So it was the opposite of how we kind of collect information. We collect information thinking we know so much, and then we get lost and think, well, what do I really know? So knowledge is always better than information. So he gave me a couple of things here and there, and then he wanted to see, are you going to do something with this? Can you grow with this? So that is really the way we learn. It's through intuitive living. So, and this is the point I started to decide, I want to go on this path. Yes, I like to teach this path, but I really want to incorporate this path into my life. So you can be a teacher, you can be a doctor of yoga, Ayurveda, but you don't necessarily need to live this life. So this is the point where I went from Cameron to Yogi Cameron, where I decided, this is a path for me. I really want to live this. And of course, it's been pretty difficult, because when you ask for something, like I said, you better contemplate it a little bit better than I did anyway. Because when you ask for something, you're saying to the world, to the universe, I want this. So then you'll probably get it at some point. So my guru would teach me that he is a guru, he is the outer guru, but then what about your inner guru? What about your intuition? So what I learned was that Ayurveda and yoga, these sciences, go together, because they're the science of Ayurveda is about the body. It's about your lifestyle. It's about the way you live. And yoga is about the mind and beyond the mind. So this is where mind, body, and spirit are kind of connected. So we all need to live in this balance that we're talking about today, is the balance of your body. So you're taking good care of your body, you're feeding the right things to your body, and then your mind. What are you feeding your mind? Because everything you put into this body ends up in the mind, and everything you think about ends up in this body. So you are having a relationship between mind and body, and you should know about this relationship. It's a torrid one at times, because the body doesn't always do what the mind wants, and the mind definitely doesn't do what anybody wants. It's got a mind of its own, right? So intuitive learning is much better sort of than mind learning. So we all know the capacity of our mind. It goes so far, but it's never the capacity of intuition. And intuition is that thing that speaks to you, and you know you should be doing that thing. All right, so a client of mine, for example, I was talking to her on the phone, and she's a robotics scientist, and one day we're chatting, and I say, what's wrong? She says, I had a bad day, tell me about it. I made this robot, I sent it to England to this competition, and it ended up on this guy's farm about 200 miles away. And I was kind of laughing, thinking, this farmer from England just got a robot. He has absolutely no idea what to do with it. So she says, I'm really frustrated because I worked on this thing hard, and my job is to see, what did you already know about this? So she says, just before I sent this package and I was rushing, I had this thought, I had this intuitive thought, I don't think I should send this now because it's just really not ready. It's not my best work, and it may put me in a compromising place because people will think, who did this bad work? This is her words, not mine. And I said, well, then you already knew. Why did you need anybody else's say-so, or doubt? So here's where doubt comes in. So the mind doubts, and the intuition always is clear. So intuitive learning is how you really learn Ayurveda. And we'll get into Ayurveda a little bit more. But you all have this knowledge within you. You just got to learn how to use it. And you do it intuitively mainly, because you're not going to be able to read 50 Ayurvedic books. You're not going to read 50 books on anything. But you will have this inner intuition and knowledge already that you can put to good use. So balance of the body, mind, and the body and the mind work together. So never see, and my guru, one of the very first things he taught me was, do not see the mind and body as two separate things. See them as the same unit working together. That's really how you keep the balance. And balance is equals body and mind working together, and imbalance are the extremes and the excesses. So Ayurveda teaches you are individual. So when you go to an extreme, it's not your friend's extreme or your mom's extreme or anybody else's extreme. It's your extreme. This is where we got to get to know ourselves a little bit and know our parameters and our boundaries, because you are individual. And it's probably the only time you really need to think of yourself individually. We should always be united and think inclusively. But in this case, we need to think individually, because you are affected by things a little bit differently than somebody else. And you should know this about yourself. And this is how you're using Ayurveda, knowing, how does this body react to things like food and interactions, and how does this mind, what is the capacity of this mind? Because as we're speaking about balance, balance is giving the mind just enough, but never too much, and giving the body just enough, but never going to that excess. And that's how we stay in balance, because balance, let's say, is in the middle, and we're really crossing balance, and we keep coming in and out of balance. Staying in that middle ground, very tough these days, because you live in a very fast-paced life, and we kind of go in and out of balance, but it's how far you veer to this side or this side is the question. And you can, with an Ayurvedic diet, with an Ayurvedic way of living, really stay within the boundaries. And I'm going to speak more about how you do that in a bit. So then it came, and that was my sort of Indian experience, then it came time to go home.